Prejudice and instant karma are central to the story. Prejudice, in this case, refers to the act of forming an opinion or making a judgment about someone based solely on outward appearance, age, or social cues without knowing their background or capabilities. Instant karma, on the other hand, is when someone faces immediate consequences for their poor behavior. In this story, these two elements collide in a way that teaches a powerful lesson through a subtle yet impactful confrontation. The moment the elderly woman walks into the jewelry store, she's already being judged. Her appearance is modest, her coat is old, her shoes aren't fashionable, and she walks slowly, which the salesman interprets as weakness or lack of value. Without any dialogue beyond a shallow greeting, he assumes she is not a serious buyer. This is where prejudice begins to unfold. Instead of offering her respectful service like he would to someone wearing designer clothing or flashing wealth, he minimizes her presence. His behavior is rooted in the assumption that older people, especially those who don't look outwardly wealthy, are not worth his time in a luxury store. This prejudice isn't just based on wealth, it also stems from ageism. He sees her as someone from a different generation, someone possibly confused, slow, or just browsing for fun, and not someone with real purchasing power. That snap judgment leads him to treat her with a condescending tone, mocking politeness, and a general lack of professionalism. What he doesn't realize is that the very assumptions he's making are being recorded in the eyes of others. Customers nearby notice his attitude. His coworker will later be appalled. But most importantly, the woman herself notices, though she doesn't react with anger or confrontation, she observes. She listens. She gives him space to either redeem himself or dig deeper into his own ignorance, and he digs deeper. When she shows interest in the expensive bracelet, he doesn't simply inform her of the price, he weaponizes the information. "Just so you know," he says, as if warning her not to touch what she can't afford. Again, the assumption is rooted in her appearance. He doesn't ask her what occasion she's buying for or compliment her taste. He doesn't take time to build a customer relationship. Instead, he rushes to get rid of her, dismissing her potential not just as a buyer, but as a person worthy of time and respect. What he doesn't realize is that prejudice, when rooted so deeply, blinds people to the truth. In this case, the truth is that she's the owner of the entire store, possibly the entire brand. His lack of awareness becomes the very trap he falls into. This is where instant karma comes in. The very moment he tries to push her out of the store, her identity is revealed by someone else, someone who does know her and respects her. In an instant, his behavior is exposed not just as rude but as professionally reckless. He hadn't just insulted a customer. He'd insulted the boss. This is a rare example where karma doesn't take weeks, months, or years. It hits immediately. There's no court case, no drama, no revenge plan. Just one simple revelation that flips the power dynamic. He held the false belief that he had power over her because he was behind the counter. That illusion breaks the moment he realizes she could fire him with a word, and she does. But even in firing him, she doesn't scream or shame him. Her calm demeanor is the final touch of instant karma. Her restraint, wisdom, and control only highlight his lack of all three. His insult was loud. Her response was quiet, but carried far more weight. This moment is a teaching tool in itself. It shows how dangerous assumptions can be, especially in customer service or public-facing roles. You never truly know who you're talking to, what they've done, or what they're capable of. More importantly, every person deserves respect regardless of status, age, or appearance. The salesman failed not because he didn't know who she was, but because he judged her before even trying to know her. His punishment was swift, and the lesson was clear. This kind of instant karma doesn't always play out so cleanly in real life, but the principle remains the same. When people operate with prejudice, they eventually face the consequences, whether it's a missed opportunity, a ruined reputation, or being publicly corrected. And in cases like this one, when prejudice meets someone with quiet authority, the fall from assumed superiority is fast and hard. The twist in the story where the elderly woman turns out to be the store owner is what gives the narrative its power. It's a classic reversal of expectations, one that hinges on both misjudgment and hidden identity. This twist works well because it plays on assumptions that are commonly held in real life, that wealth looks a certain way, that power presents itself boldly, and that age often correlates with irrelevance. The woman in the story defies all of these assumptions. And that contrast is what makes the revelation so impactful. From the beginning, she is presented in a way that invites underestimation. She enters the store alone, wearing simple clothes and moving slowly, perhaps even cautiously. In a world that associates wealth with designer labels and luxury vehicles, someone like her becomes almost invisible in places like upscale jewelry stores, and that invisibility is what the salesman latches onto. He assumes she is just browsing, likely bored, and not someone worth investing time or attention in. His entire interaction with her is colored by this narrow, shallow reading of her. But what he fails to realize is that real power doesn't always announce itself. The woman, Mrs. Whitmore, isn't there to flaunt her status. She doesn't walk in with a loud entourage, she doesn't throw money around, and she doesn't make demands. Instead, she asks simple, respectful questions. She shows interest in a product, requests information, and remains patient even as she's being belittled. This kind of quiet confidence is the first subtle clue that she may not be who she appears to be. Yet the salesman misses it entirely, too blinded by his own biases to see beyond her age and attire. When the assistant manager enters the scene and instantly recognizes her, the energy in the room shifts. Suddenly, the old lady, the salesman, had dismissed becomes someone of immense importance. The assistant's reaction genuine surprise and respect validates the woman's status in a way that the salesman can't ignore. It's not just that she's a loyal customer. She's the founder, the very reason the store exists. In an instant, everything flips. The person who was treated as a nuisance is revealed to be the highest authority in the room. This moment is more than just a shock. It's a complete dismantling of the salesman's assumptions. He thought he had power in the situation. He controlled access to the products, decided who deserved attention, and maintained a sense of superiority behind the glass counter. But all of that was an illusion. The real power had been standing in front of him the whole time, quietly watching, evaluating not just the jewelry, but him. The irony is rich. He thought he was in control, yet he was being assessed the entire time by the one person who could end his job with a single sentence. The beauty of this twist is that it doesn't rely on theatrics. There's no shouting, no dramatic confrontation. Instead, the woman responds with calm precision. She doesn't need to explain who she is, others do that for her. She doesn't need to list her accomplishments or demand respect. Her reputation speaks for itself, and her presence alone is enough to change the mood of the entire store. The twist is effective because it exposes the fragility of appearances. Everything the salesman believed about her turned out to be false, and the real story was hidden in plain sight. What makes this twist even more meaningful is that it reflects a broader truth about human nature and society. People often judge others based on surface-level indicators, clothing, age, speech, posture. But those indicators don't always tell the full story. The woman in the jewelry store represents all the people who are overlooked, underestimated, or dismissed simply because they don't fit someone's preconceived notion of worth. And when someone like her reveals their true identity, it serves as a powerful reminder that value and status aren't always visible. The salesman's reaction in this moment shock. Embarrassment, likely regret, is the natural result of the twist. His treatment of her wasn't just rude. It was professionally irresponsible. In the luxury business, every customer should be treated with care, because you never know who they are or what influence they hold. He failed not only in decency, but in basic business sense. The revelation of her identity is his wake-up call, and the quiet authority with which she handles the situation only deepens the lesson. This twist doesn't just punish ignorance, it elevates humility. The woman could have announced her status. the moment she walked in. She could have demanded special treatment or shamed the salesman in front of everyone. But she chose to let the interaction unfold naturally, revealing her identity only when it was necessary. That choice reflects strength, wisdom, and a deeper understanding of character. It shows that true power doesn't need to be proven, it simply is, *.